Were warriors in the past just a mindless horde of barbaric monsters?
Or were there great lessons we could learn from them?
Are humans really more physically and mentally capable now than we've ever been?
And was there a military that could outclass the great 300 Spartans?
All this and more on today's episode of The Edge of Wonder.
Ancient humans were tougher than us, smarter than us, and way more inspirational than we are. They were better than us in almost every way.
Not only did they outclass us, but if by the end of this video you don't think this modern lot produced over the last 150 years that we call a human race isn't pathetic, we're gonna stop making videos altogether.
Right. Over the past few weeks, we dug deep. We tried our best to figure out whether modern humans' current physical achievements, endurance, and even smarts were as inspirational as we all seem to think they are. And the result was, well, rather abysmal.
Ancient civilization produced humans of greater grit and quality. We're going to go into some history, but we decided to conduct this research based off of civilization's ancient soldiers as examples, and we'll do our best to show you how completely and utterly in a different league they all really were.
Not only are we going to show you soldiers, but we're going to present a band of warriors that could rival or surpass even the famed 300 Spartans.
So without further ado, here are 5 ancient military forces that make us look like wussies. Spartans!
Spartans! Do you really know about the Spartans? Spartans' tool wasn't really the spear or the phalanx. It was just good old-fashioned hardcore endurance.
While we tell you these stories, we want you to imagine if you could survive in this society without feeling lamentful or complaining about wrongs done to you. Spartans were professional endurers from birth.
Spartan infants were often bathed in wine instead of water to increase their toughness at an early age. They were also frequently ignored when they cried and were commanded never to fear darkness or solitude. Kids were encouraged to fight at a young age, were often beaten for hours at a time to toughen them up, and as they grew, they wore little, were constantly left in a state of hunger, and had to be able to survive in the wild with nothing as early as the age of 12. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, this is like a PC nightmare, right?
Seriously. So they believed that they were direct descendants of the god Hercules. They lived and breathed war, and retirement? Retirement wasn't an option. You were a lifelong soldier.
Okay, so Thermopylae was a narrow pass the Persians had to enter to get into Greece. People often cite this battle as the greatest sacrificial battle of all time, and rightly so.
The Spartans' culture of die before surrender and their unsurpassed ability to fight in the phalanx position while using military tactics caused the Persians, one of the greatest sized armies of all time, to writhe in agony.
The Spartans even made the most famous warriors of the Persian Empire, the famed immortals, look like a bunch of sissy fighters who couldn't even tell up from down. This drove the king of Persia, Xerxes, mad.
The total number going up against our famed Spartans were said to be in modern days anywhere from about 120k to 300k, but the Greek historians of old said the forces present at Thermopylae were anywhere from 800,000 to about 2.6 million. Oh.
When Leonidas realized that his forces were betrayed and the Persians gained entry to outflank them from behind, he sent away most of his soldiers and remained with his famed 300.
Greek biographer and essayist Plutarch once observed that the only rest that a Spartan got from training for war was during the actual war.
The Spartans exemplified endurance, and while they were awesome, they're still not at the top of our list. That's right, we're just getting started. Keep watching if you really want to get your minds blown.
All right, next on the list is Alexander the Great's Macedonians. About 100 years after the famed Spartans died at Thermopylae, Alexander of Macedonia was born to King Philip II. That's right, the Persians were still at it. When he was about age 13, his father hired famed philosopher Aristotle to educate him, where he learned to love knowledge, philosophy, music, culture, and of course, logic. Wouldn't be a Greek without logic.
When Alexander was just 20 years old, he seized the throne, following his father's death, and in just 10 years was king to one of the most notable and short-lived empires of all time, the Greek Empire.
So how did he do it with an army that consistently contained only about 40,000 men? This dude was like the Elon Musk of war. He did things unheard of at the time. He used the most modern forms of warfare mixed with ancient techniques perfected over the course of Greek and Spartan culture.
He created brilliant strategies to defeat his opponents, gave his army light armor, and they did indeed move as quickly as Alexander would to strike and win a battle. Alexander was unparalleled at improvising when things changed.
When the Persian King Darius III was defeated and retreating, Alexander the Great's army ran between 36 to 52 miles a day for 11 days straight. Yeah, and then they'd fight. Any modern men up for this? Think about running 45 miles a day for 11 days straight and fighting the entire time.
But this wasn't all. Have you ever read any quotes from Alexander the Great? Alexander would bow to the gods of whatever region he entered. He'd take time to befriend those he conquered and never killed for no reason.
Okay, so check out some of these quotes by Alexander the Great. True love never has a happy ending because there is no ending to true love.
There is nothing impossible to him who will try.
With the right attitude, self-imposed limitations vanish.
Remember, upon the conduct of each depends the fate of all. On his deathbed, he requested 3 things. Number 1, to have his physicians carry his coffin. Number 2, to scatter the path of his grave with gold won on his conquest. And number 3, to have his hands outside the coffin as he was carried.
When asked why, he said, "I would like the world to know of 3 lessons I have learned. I want my physicians to carry my coffin because people should realize that no doctor can really cure anybody. They are powerless and cannot save a person from the clutches of death, so let not people take life for granted."
The second wish of strewing gold, silver, and other riches on the way to the graveyard is to tell people that not even a fraction of gold will come with me. I spent all my life earning riches but cannot take anything with me. Let people realize that this is a sheer waste of time to chase wealth.
And about my third wish of having my hands dangling out of the coffin, I wish people to know that I came empty-handed into this world and empty-handed I go out of this world.
Yeah, so it's a pretty important lesson for all of us, really.
I mean, I had no idea when I was researching this that Alexander the Great would get this deep. So a side note actually here, some interesting things that we found is that the Roman army would run an average of 18 miles a day in full battle gear, like heavy battle gear.
And the African Zulu warriors would run a whopping 50 miles a day on campaign. And we complain about
after a marathon, everyone's all like tired and stuff.
Well, even after the end of a day of work, you know, it's like, oh, I worked so hard. It's like, yeah, you're not running 50 miles a day for every day.
Right, exactly. Okay. I'm gonna stop right here and just remind you guys to hit like and subscribe if you already haven't. We could really use your support.
Definitely.
Welcome to the Edge of Wonder.
So without further ado, the Bei Wei Army of the Song Dynasty. It's almost guaranteed you've never read anything about this army unless you know Chinese. And oh man, these might be the greatest warriors of all time. And you can't talk about these warriors without talking about their general, Yue Fei.
Yue Fei was a general during the Song Dynasty of the years 1122 to 1142 AD. He grew up poor. I mean, this is kind of like the greatest Rocky story of all time, really. While young and poor, he was trained by the highly respected village expert bowman and kung fu master named Jiao Tong. So Yue spent most of his life mastering the 18 weapons of war. Yue Fei was reportedly able to shoot 9 of 10 arrows through a bullseye at 240 yards away.
You know how far away that is? Yes. It's ridiculous. So then after training all day, he'd read bedtime stories to himself like Sun Tzu's The Art of War, which by the way, if you want to feel like a simple-minded human, read that.
To encourage him, his mother asked him to take off his shirt. She then tattooed 4 Chinese characters on his back, which read, "Serve the country with the utmost loyalty." Soon after this, Yue Fei promptly went off to battle, putting himself on the front lines with the group called the Jurchen that would later betray the Song leaders.
So seeing the betrayal, Yue Fei sprung into battle, taking back lands and giving people in the capital city of Kaifeng a chance to escape.
His wrath against the Jurchen for betraying his country drove him to train even harder, to take back his lands and make things right. He trained with the Shaolin monks and reportedly created things like Eagle Claw style martial arts and developed Xing Yi boxing further.
He quickly rose through the ranks, never losing once in the 126 battles he fought. And when anyone would question his loyalty to the country or the emperor, he'd just rip his shirt off and show them his tattoo that his mom put on his back. His mom tattoo. I just can't get over that.
Okay, so imagine a general like this putting all his energy into instructing his army.
And this was the Bei Wei Army. No one, and I mean no one, could take down these dudes. Let us introduce you to the Battle of Zhuxian, where Yue Fei would have his ultimate vengeance on the Jurchen army for his beloved country.
Yue Fei and his troops made their way to Kaifeng and defeated 6,000 Jurchen troops there. 14 miles away from Kaifeng was Jurchen County, where the Jurchen kept the main number of their troops.
And this is where the Battle of Zhuxian began. Yue Fei led, get this, 500 of his elite fighters to engage in a battle with a Jurchen troop of 100,000 men. That's an army force 200 times bigger than his own.
And these were not like a hack army by any means. I mean, Yue Fei brought down his warhammer upon them, carrying the momentum from never having lost a battle. The Jurchen troops were shaken with fear. Their once solid confidence and courage was crushed by a wrathful team of Bei Wei warriors that sliced through them like butter. And like most awesome war stories, they get ruined by betrayal and deceit. China at that time had an advisor to the emperor jealous of Yue Fei, who basically Grima worm-tongued the emperor and eventually had Yue Fei killed on ridiculous charges that were just simply made up.
I mean, it was like literally like the first season of Game of Thrones in real life, but way worse. But one major thing is that Yue Fei stayed loyal to his emperor even up to the final moment of death. Kind of brings a tear to my eye, Ben.
To end this epic tale, we've collected a few quotes from our famed general we would like to share. Benevolence, wisdom, trustworthiness, bravery, strictness, these are indispensable.
So his troops had a quote from him that they said while they were stationed in conquered lands, and that was, "Never dismantle the houses even if you freeze to death. Do not loot or pillage even if you die of hunger."
If you completely give everything you have to serving, anything can be accomplished for your country.
If scholar officials are not after money and military officials no longer fear death, the peace would not be far from sight.
Oh, wait. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We definitely could use your support.
Please. Hussars. Ever heard of the Hussars? We hadn't, but wait until you see these dudes.
These guys were as tough as nails and patriotic towards fighting for their country. These guys viewed a mismatched fight as an awesome challenge rather than a threat to their lives. Not only were their accomplishments on the battlefield itself notable, but their attire was outrageous.
These dudes would fly into battle on horses wearing the heaviest armor they could find, glimmering in the sun with these insane wings on their back that would give off a blood-curdling whistle as they raced towards you in formation with 19-foot lances.
Yeah, it literally looked like a guard of angel warriors on Pegasus descending from the heavens above. You just have to respect these guys.
Seriously.
It's crazy.
So their greatest achievement was the Battle of Vienna, where they went up against a force of 200,000 Ottomans with only about 3,000 Hussars and literally wiped the floor with them. Now, there were other military forces at play here other than the Hussars, but it was really these 3,000 that did the work. Their national pride and ability to maintain their culture through thick and thin and with great faith is something worth noting, and we've decided to show that through the fighting spirit of the Hussars.
No discussion about warriors could be right without mentioning the Mongols. A lot of what we know leads us to believe that they were just this ruthless and heartless army. In many cases they were, but what we found out actually told us a very different story.
So Mongols were trained to ride horses by age 3. Their horses could cover 600 miles in 9 days. They had 5 to 6 horses per soldier and would cycle the horses, giving the others rest while one was working, which is how they took the world over.
They figured out that heating arrows to glowing red and plunging them in salted water created armor-piercing arrows. Mongols also wore silk shirts, so if they got shot with an arrow, the silk wouldn't really tear, easing the arrow's removal from the body.
Right. So they would plan their battle strategies out with such great detail that they'd note everything about their enemies. As an example, the Mongols invaded Russia during winter, and well, they won, where Napoleon and Hitler both failed miserably. To make a long story short, it wasn't long before the Mongol Empire was the largest contiguous empire that the world has ever seen. Genghis never considered himself to be a ruthless barbarian either. He would always spare villages and cities after giving them one chance to submit. We had to include some quotes from Genghis Khan here because they seem to give a glimpse into that time period.
An action committed in anger is an action doomed to failure.
I hate luxury. I exercise moderation. It will be easy to forget your vision and purpose once you have fine clothes, fast horses, and beautiful women. in which case you'll be no better than a slave, and you will surely lose everything.
I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you. That's just a crazy quote.
And he had everything to back it up.
I guess so.
Okay, so the conclusion here, I mean, after doing all of this research, I think Ben and I were both astounded at how incredibly capable these warriors were.
That's for sure.
I mean, there was stories about these guys, what they would endure. I mean, you know, people often cite that they weren't taller because like they weren't in the like 6 feet or over 6 feet. These guys were like 5'5", 5'6", right? But it's because they started training at such a young age, and they were like tempering their bodies, and their bodies would have hardened muscles and all kinds of things that would allow them to do things like run 50 miles a day straight.
We didn't even, I mean, there was only like 5 of them that we talked about. I mean, and we didn't even get into some of the really crazy stuff because it's like, we just didn't want to go.
I mean, that was just, I mean, we literally touched like a slim layer of the things that we found. We could have another whole video on just some of these other facts that we found and how crazy humans can train their bodies to be.
Change the subject real quick. You guys are probably wondering about our t-shirts.
Yeah, so we have a new Zazzle marketplace where you guys can go and you can download.
Could download.
Don't download any t-shirts. Buy them. So anyway, go to zazzle.com/Edge of Wonder and you'll go straight to our marketplace where you can buy one of these awesome beautiful t-shirts that
Rob designed.
I designed these guys. Hope you like it. We used some Back to the Future
inspiration.
Yeah, inspiration there to design a pretty cool shirt.
Also guys, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We definitely could still use your support.
Until next time, we'll see you guys out
on the edge.